Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a bit of a different video for you. You might have noticed all over our YouTube for months now, people have been getting sent these markers from Arrtx, the acrylic paint markers. And I've seen them, again, as I said, for months, and I thought they were really interesting and they looked kind of cool. So I finally had some extra spending money, so I bought them for myself, and today I'm going to talk about what I think about them. I just want to give my thoughts as someone who did buy them for myself, and if I'm disappointed by them. Here I'm swatching all of them, and I'm going to draw something in a little bit. I bought the 60A set, the anime set, because I thought the colors were best suited for me. There are a few skin tones in here and some lighter colors that I really enjoy using in my art, so that's why I bought that one. And I've got a lot of mixed feelings about these markers, so I'm excited to talk about them with you. So first thing, there is a lot of variety in colors, and that's really nice. However, it feels like there's not the right amount of variety. Like, for example, if you look at this swatch page, you'll see there's a lot of like similar valued tones of each color. Like there's a lot of greens, but a lot of them are around like the same value. So if you turned it to grayscale, they would look the same, and it makes it really hard for shading. Like you can't really shade with things like that. So I really struggle with finding darker versions of the colors I'm using. Like you'll see in a little bit, I'll be using this green. Well, the only darker green than that is this really bright Kelly green color. But that's like totally different looking than the grayish green that I was using. And so then like, what do I do? How do I shade it? And I couldn't. I had to use kind of a more saturated version of the green, but like that wasn't any darker. And so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of things that are like the same value, and so you put them on top of the other color you used and it looks like it just blends in. You can't tell it's there. So that's really frustrating for me. And also and I guess it depends on what you use them for. If you're someone who doesn't draw a lot of people, maybe it's fine. But for me, there's just not enough skin tones. There's a few light ones and a few dark ones, but they're all kind of weird undertoned. And like one of the light ones is too light. Like it's almost, especially on a sketchbook like this where the paper's not white, like you can't tell that it's even there really. And so then there's really only like two options. And then there's like not a good color for shading the skin for dark or for light. It's just really difficult if you enjoy doing skin tones. So just keep that in mind. I want to talk about the formula of the markers. So I know that in several of the videos I watched from other people about these markers, they talked about there being like a few markers that didn't have as much paint coming out of them as other ones. So I expected maybe a few like that. But for me, there was like half the set that were really dry. As you could see when I was putting that kind of grayish green down on the page, it was like super streaky, and it took like 2 seconds, and I could hardly get anything out of the nib, and I was like trying to go over it for a second coat, but it wasn't layering on top of each other because it was so dry, and that was really frustrating. Like some of them are so like a ton of stuff come out of the nibs, and it's great, but like for half of the markers to be like this, it's just really annoying to spend $50 on these markers and half of them don't work very well. All of them work. Like I wouldn't say that there's anything that's totally dry. The green is probably one of the worst, because even now that it's been sitting like with the nib down for days, it still is really dry, but it's just disappointing. Like I knew that they were going to be maybe a little bit streaky and not the most opaque because they're, cheaper markers. Like they're like pretty much the only affordable acrylic marker set on the market at the moment, at least anything that's decent, because like Posca pens as a set would be really expensive. So I expected like that the quality wouldn't be like the best in the world, but that's okay. But like for half the markers to not be working very well was extremely disappointing as someone who like paid for it and like wanted to use them all the time. No, the next thing I want to talk about is, do I actually like them? The answer is yes. There was a time that I really did not like them. I was like, I don't know if I can recommend these to people. I didn't love them. They were just kind of irritating me because I felt like I picked up any marker and it wouldn't work very well. However, for small things in my sketchbook, It's actually really nice for the most part to be able to have a sketch and just be like, I'm gonna go over that with my markers, and then I can make like a decent colored drawing without, you know, there being any bleeding to the other side of the page, without there being any, like, it dries super quickly, you know, not having to get any water out or anything like that. Oh, another thing about the texture and like the way they perform is that they do beat up your paper, and I've used it on a couple different kinds of paper at this point in my sketchbook, on some cartridge paper, and I forgot some other kind of paper, and it does beat up the paper. Not as bad as like proper water-based, I mean these are water-based, but like proper water-based markers like watercolor markers do, those beat up the paper really badly. These do, like, you can see like the beated up paper bits that are on the paper, and it's kind of annoying. It doesn't really get in the way, it doesn't clog the nib, so like it's all right. It just kind of doesn't look good, it doesn't feel good. So that's another thing I wanted to mention about that. But yeah, as far as like would I repurchase these, if let's say, I know they have individuals that you can buy to replace ones you use up, but like if they all went dry at one time in this made up world, would I repurchase them? Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't know if I would repurchase them. I think it depends on how quickly they go out. For me, if they dry up super quickly, I'm not going to bother. I'd rather just save up for Posca pens. However, if they last me a long time and they perform pretty much the same until they're dead, then I won't mind so much. I think I would repurchase them. I just wish that they would improve their color selection. Maybe they will. We'll see, you know, if enough people want more colors, maybe they'll come out with new sets. That would be great. I would love a skin tone set of this, because I think that would really, really help. Like if they had a skin tone set, that would pretty much solve the color issue. Yeah, I like these markers. I'm going to use them in my sketchbook. I'm not going to use them for finished artwork. I don't plan on doing that. I think they would dry up too quickly if I did that. So if whether or not you purchase them, I think it depends on what you are going to use them for. If you're going to use them in your sketchbook, then yeah, I think they would work pretty well for you, especially if you draw more than just people. Drawing people, you kind of have to think about, like, does it bother you that you don't have like a ton of options for skin tones, or like very much shading options or highlighting options? You have to think about that for yourself. Again, for my sketchbook, I think they're great. So it just depends on what you see yourself using. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to talk about. Thank you so much for watching this video. And let me know, have you tried these? And if you did, what did you think about them? Did they work well for you? Did they not? I would love to know. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video. I really, 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 really appreciate you watching. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, then just hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this or found this helpful, then hit the like button. I would really, really appreciate that as well. So I'll see you hopefully next week. All right, bye-bye.